Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Well, did you guess what it was? No, it wasn't a bag. Sorry. I made this. It's with 100% cotton from Bendigo Woolen Mills. I put it, and what it is for when you've got wet hair coming out of the shower. You put this on, and there's a little drawstring here which will tighten and loosen so that it will fit a multiple size of heads, and you just clamp it down and it will let your hair dry naturally, or it will help you dry your hair. So it's, rather, a bit like having a sort of turban. So we take it off. Now, I suppose if you wanted to, you could use it as a bag with a drawstring with a clamp on the end. It has got a little clamp here, but it is not designed as a bag. It is designed as a bit like a turban. Remember in the olden days, well, I say olden days, very popular to have a turban to wrap your head in. And people do it with towels. They wrap their head in a towel, like a turban, to drying their hair. Well, this is just another alternative. It's just to let your hair dry. It's gappy enough that the air can get to your hair to help it dry, and it's made of cotton, and because it's gappy as well, it will dry quick enough for the next user, or if you're the only user, it will dry quick enough for the next time you need to use it, when you wash your hair next. So, and I just put a little sort of flower at the top of it, just because I could. Okay, so how do we create this? All right, stay tuned. I'm gonna flip-flop the camera, and I'm gonna show you how I created that.
Hi, my name is Maggie, and my mummy says you need to hit that like and subscribe button because of this YouTubey something or others, something something important. Anyway, thank you. Bye.
Okay, so here we are. What I've done is I did a chain of, I think it was 70, and this is an 8-ply 100% cotton. I did I did chain of 70, and just started doing the pattern exactly as it says, and I joined obviously in the round, and you can see my join going up on an angle. You can sort of see it there, but that's at the back. You can put it at the back if you're worried about it, showing. But it is just something for you to throw on your head after you've had a shower, so that you're not dripping all down your back, and your hair will hopefully dry nice and quickly. I've just decreased very simply at the end when I was running out of yarn, and I just skipped a stitch and just basically just did a treble or a double crochet, no chains in between, and I just skipped a stitch and went to the next space in between, and I just did that for 3 rows, and then just sort of pulled them all together and just did some chains just to make a little flower. So I'm not going to show you how to do a full-sized one because that will take forever to get all the way around, but I will show you how to get started and how to finish it off. Okay, so if you recall, the stitch suggested that we start with a much larger hook than the yarn is asking for. So thus I've got a H, which is a 5mm. I'm just using a 8 ply or a 3 weight, which is also known as a DK weight acrylic, just because that's what I have handy. Oh, I will comment that because this yarn was so slippery and silky, what I did here with my ends, I didn't want them slipping through or slipping out. I just put a dab of the E6000, which is great for fabric. You just put a little dab there, and I squished it together just so that the end won't unravel. I did the same when I, where is it? Am I going to be able to find it? I should be able to feel it because it is a little bit rough. Where is it? Oh, here it is. No, I can't feel it. It's unusual. Oh, okay. I did the same for the beginning end. When I wove in the end at the beginning, you know, from the beginning, I just put a little dab of this on there as well, and that just secures it so it doesn't sort of pop out, because it is very silky, and they do, the cotton will slip out a little bit. Okay, so as the tutorial showed you, you do need a larger size to start off with, so I am starting off with a slip knot, and how many shall I do? I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, to go in the round, I've shown this before, but I'll show it again. To make sure your cord does not twist, you remove your hook and you place it into the first chain coming up that way. The chain is straight and you go into the stitch, and then you can just keep counting. Now I've lost count, but that doesn't matter. I'll just do, you know, at a certain bit of length. We need a little bit of length to make it a circle. Oh, one more. And then what you do when you are ready to start working is you just pull that through the front loop and it will not be twisted. Then I chain 3 on my treble, and I go into my next stitch, which you can see is there. There's my next back bump, which is a little bit tight because of the joining. I go in that next back bump. Oops, wrong hook. Would help if I got the right sized hook. Now we're swapping to a G 4mm. That will help. Okay. Into the back bump, and we do our treble or our double crochet, and we just do 1 double triple crochet into the back bump of every stitch all the way around. It's a little bit tricky, or it can be, but I prefer to go into the back bump just because it does give a much nicer look. See, you get like the little V's, and it's a much neater look at the end. And you will see that here as well, where I've sort of worked all my into the back bump of all of these, and it's a nice straight load of V's, and it just looks prettier. So now I started with 70 stitches, as I say, and I put that around my head, and it was a little bit too big, and that's exactly what I wanted, because I want to use the drawstring locky thing. and you know, and you want it to be big enough to go on whoever's head it is going to be going on. So I would start off with sort of 70 using your larger hook, but still using your, you know, DK 8-ply 3-weight yarn, and just see, you know, does that give you a little bit of, you know, like put it around your head. Does that give you a little bit of slack? Does that give you a little bit of looseness? If so, great. Then you can just keep, you know, you can slip through and keep going. If not, chuck on another 5 or 10 or whatever, you know, because obviously, you know, it's going to depend on your tension. It may also depend on your yarn. This is supposed to be an 8-ply. It's probably a thin 8-ply. It's a thin DK. So, you know, that all takes comes into account when you're doing this stitch. So just sort of measure it on your own head and just make sure that it would fit too loosely on your head, but not so loosely that, you know, you can, I don't know, pull it all the way down. You probably can. You could probably do it that way anyway, but yeah. Okay, so we're almost at the beginning. I've got no idea how many stitches I've got because I wasn't counting, but that's okay. It don't matter a bit. So, and we come back to the beginning. And have I got one more left? Yes, I do. One more left in there. Okay. All right. And then I just join, not to that one, because that is the first stitch. I join to the one next to that, which will be the third chain. It'll be the top of the chain 3, which I used for a starting double crochet or a starting treble, depending on where you are. Now, because we are working between the stitches, I'm going to go into this, not into in the gap. I'm going to go into there because I want to lock it so it's in the middle more. See how it's in the middle? If I just put it into the hole, this slip knot or this slip stitch would just be over to this side so far that it would look like it's above this one, and we don't want it above that one. We want them in between. So we go 3 and then in between all the way around. And this is just the way you carry on all the way around. Oh, this yarn's very slippery too, actually, for an acrylic. It can come out a little bit, I think. All right. So in between all the stitches, just as we did in our tutorial, which would have been, where are we now? 2 weeks ago. Like I say, if you want to turn this upside down and use it as a bag, you could, but keep in mind there's very big holes in the bottom. And I did that, like I say, I did that deliberately because, once again, you want some air circulating, especially if you've got a lot of hair, and it's, or, you know, it's thick hair or whatever, you know, you want a good circulation of air. And we come all the way around. And I'm back to the beginning already. Once again, we're not joining here because that is the first stitch. We are joining to the chain next to it, which is the top of the chain 3 of the chain 3 we did for our double crochet. We slip stitch again into that. We do 3, and around again. We will keep doing this until we get either the length we want or we run out of yarn. I just kept going until I pretty much ran out of yarn. I had very little yarn left, but it was a good length. It was probably as long as a slouchy beanie is, if not a little bit longer. So it's going to really hold a lot of hair. If you're making this for, you know, a young person who, you know, perhaps doesn't have as much hair, or even, you know, if you're making it for a male who's got short hair, you know, you wouldn't need to make it as long. But I don't think it really matters on if it's too long. It would only matter if it was too short. The hair would still take a while to dry. Okay, so you would just keep going around and around and joining in the right stitch, which is that one. And then when it's at the length you require, you would close it up. And how I would close it up is I'm still slipping into the next stitch. I'm doing a chain 3 and I'm skipping the next one and I go into the next. Skipping the next gap, going into the next. I'm not chaining at all because I want it to close up. So I'm skipping a gap and going into the next one. Skipping a gap, going into the next one. And I will just keep doing that until it's closed up, until it's sort of closed up enough for me to just sew up the ends, you know, sew it closed, if you know what I'm trying to say. Oops, in we go. So that's ending up that I'm next to the beginning stitch, but that doesn't matter. You know, it's not going to work out perfectly, you know, depending on how many stitches you started with. But that's okay. So then that's decreased it quite considerably. Once again, we would slip stitch, slip into the next gap, chain 3, and skip a stitch, go into the next gap, slip a gap, go into the next gap, and we're still just doing our double crochets or our trebles, depending on what you call them. And we're back to the beginning already. And then I'm going to join, and I will find, you know, after I've joined, hang on, let me join it properly. Join into that stitch to the top of that chain. And you will see that the hole at the end now is very, very small. So you can cut your yarn. You can, oops, where am I? Cut your yarn and just pull through. And if you don't want that hole there, you can just sew it up. But I don't think it matters whether you have the hole there or not, because it's very gappy anyway, like I say. And then you've got that part completed. Now, for the drawstring, I just did a chain. I just did a normal, simple chain. And when I did the chain, I'll just quickly do a little chain. Dear me. And it doesn't matter which size hook you use. Now, if you want a thicker cord, you can very easily, I'll show you, you can turn your work around, and if you like, you can slip stitch into every bump all the way down. And that will give you a thicker cord. It gives you a thicker cord. So if that's the way you want to go, you can do that. Or you can just do a chain until it's the length you want. You obviously want it to be able to thread through and then have a nice loop on the edge at the end. So let's just say that that is long enough. I would cut it, pull it through, oops, and then I would, no, I'm not, would I tie it? No, I don't tie it yet. I get my, this is when you would get your little drawstring thing and you would thread through using a needle. Where's my needle? I thought I had one handy, but obviously not. So you will grab your, oh dear, grab a needle and you would thread that through. You need to contract it. Oh dear, and I'm not very good at this because I can't hold them. Right, and then you get your needle, you pull that through, okay, like that, at one end, and you leave it, and then get the needle on the other end, and you get your little hat. You can go through these. I didn't. I left them empty and I went through the second row. You can go through the second row and you just go in through one and out the other, and you just pull it through like that, and you just go in and out through all of it till you get back to the beginning. Now I left a stitch, I left a bit of a gap like that. You don't have to, you can go into the next one if you want and come out this one, but I like to, you know, I just like the idea of leaving a bit of a gap there. So you then get on back on your needle, once again you push down, through you go, and you've got your drawstring sorted. You can tighten like that or loosen. So how do we finish off the ends? Well, that's fairly easy. You just tie a knot, and this is where the glue may come in handy. You tie a knot, you just get those two ends of the chain as close as you can together, and then you come back and you double up on it. And you double up on it and you pull tight. With you, and it's going to slip and move until you sew in these ends, and you would sew them back in through the chain. And that's what I was doing here, and that's when I noticed that the ends kept sticking out, and that's when I put some glue on it to stop the ends from poking through. So now that is why I also put the the clasp on before tying it off. I don't want to make a loop because then I'm not going to be able to get my clasp on, unless it's the sort of clasp that you can use, you know, on a circle of yarn that's already been closed off. But this one you can't. You need to, you know, put the threads through the gaps initially. Okay, and to and fro. And there we are. So it's a very tiny little hat. I don't know what you would call it, but yeah. And that is basically how I created it. Hopefully you can follow that, those instructions, and create one that is big enough for you. Don't forget, please, to watch all of the reveals. There are 5 of us this month. I will link all of them in the description below, all the people. There's 5 of us. Go and see what they revealed. Then perhaps have a look at the tutorial as well while you're there. Some of them put this is my reveal and the end, and then they do the tutorial second as a different video. I just put both of mine into the same video. So you may have to, you know, just see what they've made. That may stop, and then you may have to go and see the tutorial for it separately. But once you've had a look at what everybody has made, you can then make your decision as to who you vote for. The voting will be in the comments section, or not the comments section, sorry, it will be in the post section, which used to be the community tab section. But there's 5 of us this time, and only 4 options can be given. So I don't know, maybe Theresa might want to change the voting so that you have to name who you vote, no, not name who you voted for, but yeah, you might have to name the object or who you voted for. Or maybe we'll have to come up with a different way. I'm not sure how we're going to do that with 5 people and only 4 options for voting. Could be a bit tricky. Unless we all just do everybody else and we don't list ourselves. And we do 4, you know, that we list the other 4, but not ourselves. And if we all do that, yeah, then it's fine. Then, yeah. But anyway, I'm sure we'll figure that out, and so keep an eye on Theresa and Heather's website channels, and I'm sure they'll let us know how we have to vote now that voting has started. This is still very early in the month. Yes, I have finished my, actually I'm lying, it's the end of the month. It's the last day of February and I've already finished my project, so yeah, I like to try and get ahead when and where I can. So yeah, we'll find out and we'll let you know for sure. So well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to give me a like and go to the community tab, which is now called posts, and vote for whose project you liked the best, and to be in to win whichever project has the most votes, you must in the comments state that you have voted. If you don't state that you've voted, then because we can't see who votes, we can't see who votes at all. So all the votes go up. We don't get names of everybody who's voted, so you need to actually state that you've voted, and all those who have voted then go on to the wheel to be drawn next week to see who wins the project that got the most votes. Okay, clear as mud. No, I think I've done okay this month in describing that and how that process works. So okay, everybody, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.